Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into strategic management. It's basically the playbook that explains why some companies totally dominate for decades, while others just kinda vanish.
So let's start with a little trip down memory lane. Remember these guys? Nokia? They were mobile phones. Kodak? They basically invented photography for the masses. And Bajaj scooters were an absolute icon in India. They were all giants. And they all fell. So what happened? Well, they failed to see the future coming. The smartphone revolution, the shift to digital cameras, and just what people wanted. It all changed, and they didn't change with it. And that brings us to this idea, which is really the core of it all. It's not about being the biggest company or having the most money. In the wild world of business, survival comes down to one thing: adaptability. The ones who can see change coming and pivot successfully, they're the ones who win. It's the ultimate competitive advantage. Okay, so that's the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually build a company that can do that? One that doesn't just survive, but thrives on change? Well, the answer lies in a single, really powerful concept: strategy. All right, let's get into it. What even is strategy? Is it just some fancy plan that gets printed out, put in a binder, and then collects dust on a shelf? Or is it something more alive? At its heart, strategy is the game plan. It's how management decides to carve out a unique spot in the market, get customers excited, and, actually hit its goals. It's the roadmap for where you want to go, and this is key, how you're planning to get there. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so it's a plan. But this is where a lot of people get it wrong. If your strategy was just a rigid, unchanging plan, what happens the moment the market does something unexpected? You'd break. The reality is way more dynamic. And this is the big takeaway right here. A real working strategy is never just one thing. It's a blend. Part of it is proactive. That's your deliberate, thought-out game plan. But the other part has to be reactive. That's you making smart adjustments when the world, inevitably, throws a wrench in your plans. It's a really cool concept when you think about it. You start with your proactive, deliberate moves, your intended strategy. But then stuff happens. A competitor launches something new. A crazy new technology emerges. You have to react. Those adaptive reactions are the reactive part of your strategy. And what you're actually doing at any given moment is a mix of the two. That blend? That's your real, living strategy. So, if strategy is constantly changing and adapting, what keeps the whole thing from just flying off the rails? What guides all those decisions? Well, it all comes down to having a clear sense of purpose, something we call strategic intent. The best way to think about strategic intent is like a pyramid. At the very top, you've got the big, audacious dream. That's the vision. That gets focused into a clear purpose, the mission. Then you break that mission down into measurable targets, your goals and objectives. And the entire thing is built on a solid foundation of your non-negotiable principles, your values. Let's look at those top two for a sec. Your vision is the destination. It's all about the future. HDFC Bank wanting to be a world-class Indian bank, that paints a picture of what they want to become. The mission, on the other hand, is about the journey right now. Apple's mission to bring the best user experience tells you what they are focused on doing every single day. This right here shows the real power of a great mission. A weak mission is all about you. Indian Railways could say, we run a railroad. Fine. But a strong mission is about the customer. We offer a transportation and material handling system. See the difference? And the best one here? LockMe. They don't just make cosmetics. No, they sell hope. That shift in thinking is absolutely everything. So, goals and objectives. This is where the big, lofty mission starts to get real. These are the specific, measurable, time-bound targets that tell you if you're actually getting anywhere. They turn the mission from a nice idea into a series of concrete steps you can actually track. And finally, we have the foundation of it all: values. Think of these as the company's conscience. They're the core beliefs that guide every single decision, especially when things get tough. They're the cultural glue that makes sure everyone is pulling in the same direction, and for the right reasons. Okay, so having a brilliant strategy is one thing, but actually making it happen inside a big company, that's a whole different ballgame. It's not just one plan. It's a coordinated effort that happens on 3 totally different levels. Big companies have to break down the responsibility for strategy into a clear hierarchy. It's kind of like a military command structure, really. It makes sure that everyone, from the CEO in the corner office all the way to the front lines, knows exactly what their part of the plan is. At the very top, you've got the corporate level. These are the generals, the CEO, the board. They're looking at the whole battlefield, asking the huge questions. What businesses should we even be in? Where should we put our money? They're setting the overall direction for the entire organization. One level down, you have the business level. Think of these folks as the field commanders. They're in charge of a specific division or product line. Their job is to win their specific battle. They're obsessed with the question, how do we beat the competition and win in this market? And finally, you get to the front lines, the functional level. These are your specialized troops, the heads of marketing, finance, R&D, you name it. Their job is to create brilliant strategies for their specific function that support the business level plan. They're the ones doing the day-to-day work that makes the whole grand strategy actually happen. So that was a pretty quick tour through the fundamentals of strategic management. Let's step back and make sure we lock in the most important ideas. So what do you need to remember? First, strategy is always moving. It's a mix of your plan and your reactions. Second, your strategic intent, that whole vision and mission combo, that's your North Star that guides you. Third, making it happen requires everyone knowing their job at the corporate, business, and functional levels. And last, and maybe most important, it's not about being the biggest. It's about being the most adaptable. And that's our deep dive for today. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. Think about a company you really admire. Is their strategy a bold plan that's actively shaping the future? Or is it just reacting to what everyone else did yesterday? Something to think about. That's all for this explainer.